Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mitratel's conference call for the 9 months of 2023 results. All the materials for today's call are available on our website www.mitratel.co.id. Today's call is being recorded and a replay will be available after the call. There will be a CEO remarks and followed by presentation from our CIO before the Q&A session. Before we start, let me remind you that today's presentation and responses to the questions may contain forward-looking statements within the meaning of safe harbor. The projection or estimations may involve risk and uncertainty that may cause actual results to be different from what we discuss today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure now to introduce Mitratel's Board of Directors who are joining us today. Our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Theodorus Ardi Hartoko, Chief Finance and Risk Officer, call to our CEO for his remarks. Please, Pak Teddy, the time is yours.
Thank you, Andy. Good afternoon, everyone. In the 9 months of 2023, Mitratel continued its growth momentum by posting double digit in revenue, EBITDA, and net income. Revenue increased by 11.9% year-on-year, while EBITDA and net income grew by 14.8% and 16.6% year-on-year respectively. Moreover, EBITDA and net income margin are expanding to 80.6% and 22.8%, reflected the company's success in improving efficiency. As of September 2023, Mitratel owns 37,091 towers across regions in Indonesia, maintaining our strong leadership in tower industry. We successfully added 3,698 new tenants organically, largely supported by our marketing analytic tools that enable us in creating value to our customers. We enhance our services with fiber optic to provide superior transport quality that by September 2023 has reached 29,000 kilometers. Lastly, on inorganic, we keep looking for opportunities that fit with our strategy. We expect to continue capturing growth from M&A activities supported by strong balance. I will now hand over to Pak Indra, our CIO, to deliver more detailed presentation. Please, Pak Indra.
Thank you, Pak Teddy. Good afternoon, investor, shareholder, analysts. Thank you for joining our earnings call, 9 months 2023. I will start our presentation. Mitratel, as Pak Teddy already mentioned, we are still the biggest tower owner in Southeast Asia, where we have 37,091 towers across Indonesia. We are also still deliver our commitment, which is our double digit growth, and which make us as the industry leading growth, not only in, especially in the tower industry. We do have a stable in terms of the leverage, as our leverage still at 1.96 times as of September 2023. In terms of the consolidation, we are still the champion in Indonesia, where in the third quarter we are acquiring about 195 towers only in the third quarter. Our massive growth, especially outside Java, continue, as 92% of our order is actually deployed in ex-Java. In terms of fiber optic, in one quarter or in the third quarter, we are able to add another 2,000 kilometers. So by the end of September 2023, our number of fiber optics grew to 29,000 kilometers. Okay. In terms of the proving record, we, as of now, for the last 9 months, has built organic tower of 481. Okay. In terms of the location, despite with all of the organic and also inorganic growth, we are still maintain the current ratio where 78% of our tower don't have any competitor within the radius of 300 meters. For tenancy ratio, we also grew to 1.5 compared to the last quarter at 1.49. And one of the several other benefits that actually we can update in this quarter. First, the benefit, the rollout of ex-Java actually has grown 11.4%. Our market share in 9 months for ex-Java is actually, Mitratel rollout is at 39%. The total market share for September 2023 at 7,000 tower. Okay. Next. Continue to explain more about the operation and also the expansion. In this graph, we see that the significant growth of tenants still dominating outside Java. The first one is dominating in Bali and Nusa Tenggara, second in Sulawesi, and third in Kalimantan. As maybe we remember, like last year, the significant growth actually also come from Sumatra. Since this year, Sumatra is still growing, still higher compared to Java. Okay, but as of now, another potential growth is actually in the 3 locations, which is the Bali, Sulawesi, and Kalimantan. Okay. Next. For the performance highlight, as Pak Teddy already mentioned, we have 11.9% of revenue growth, EBITDA at 14.8%, and net income at 16.6%. As you all know, that the cyclical of the tower, especially for Mitratel, for the third quarter, usually this is the lowest in terms of the net income compared to other quarter. This is mainly due to the renewal process that we are expecting to be concluded before end of the year. Next slide. Okay. This is the product that we have at the current time. The tower business still dominating the revenue. The tower leasing now is actually at 83%. In terms of the EBITDA margin, also still high at 85%. Fiber optic, compared to last year, we don't have any revenue. Now it's actually growing quite significant to 2%, but with a significant EBITDA margin close to 83%. The tower-related business, this one, as we are more selecting in the receiving or execute project that has a better EBITDA margin. So that's why in terms of the revenue contribution is down to 8%. In terms of the EBITDA margin, improved significant from 15.3 last year to 19.3 this year in the 9 months 2023. Reseller also, this is the business that we are planning to phase out. So in terms of the contribution from the revenue also reducing to 7%. EBITDA margin still at 88%. Next. In terms of the expenses, we are able to manage all of the expense within or lower compared to our growth itself. Our total expenses grow at 7.3%. And if we look more deeper, the significant contribution it actually come from the amortization, which mainly due to the acquisition, especially the land lease from the land that from the inorganic process. And for the other expenses by categories is still manageable. The construction and project management is actually down 17%. This is also in line with the revenue from non-tower, where it's actually also reducing compared to last year. Another significant increase in terms of the percentage, you can see in the other expenses, where it's actually grow close to 105%. This is mainly because of the account receivable allowance, where in 2022, is actually there's an adjustment where the number is actually minus 22 billion. And while this year is actually the number is actually at 4 billion. So if you exclude the AR allowance, basically the other expenses is still almost the same as last year. Next slide. Okay, this is information on our backlog. In terms of the revenue, we are still maintained at 40%. And the revenue actually still come majority from the 3 MNO in Indonesia. Telkomsel still dominating at 56%. All of the MNO is actually experience a growth in terms of the business. The only one that is significant, not significant, the only one that is lower is actually from the Telkom group. This is due to the non-tower business. In terms of the contract, we also 74% of the contract still has the maturity more than 4 years. This year alone, we have about 4,000 contract that is expired. Half of it is already renewed, and the remaining will be renewed within this year. And lastly, the graph on the bottom right is actually our market share. In Telkomsel, we still dominating also from Excel. This is a combination between co-location and also build-to-suit. For Telkomsel, still 84% is build-to-suit, while others is mainly co-location. For IO, we also still dominating about 52% of the new order. Okay, next slide. In terms of the leverage, in the first graph, we basically want to differentiate between Mitratel and the other player in the industry. Our leverage net debt to EBITDA still the lowest within Indonesia at 1.96. Okay. In terms of net debt to equity, also still net debt to equity and net debt to EBITDA still below 5 times. Okay. The free cash flow also remains strong at 25%. This is to show our ability to receive the cash from the customer. Back to the leverage, our ratio between floating and fixed now is actually improved to 58% is floating and 42% is a fixed loan. In terms of the type of the banking or from the capital market, this year we issue MTN, which in terms of the pricing at around 6.2%, quite competitive. And the significant lending that we are receiving is actually come from the private bank, about 49%, the SOE bank about 34%. We also continue to negotiate with all of the bank and also to do a refinancing to maintain our cost of fund low. As of September 2023, our floating cost of fund, or our average cost of fund, is actually at JIBOR plus 6.4. JIBOR plus 6.4 basis point. 64 basis point, I repeat it. Okay. Next slide. Okay. This is the ESG program that we have. I think most of you is already familiar. So by this year, we are able to reduce our emission by maintain and renewing some of the energy that we are using. We reduce the energy consumption by using sensor and Also, smart energy management. We also able to replace 350 in 350 sites. In terms of the social responsibility, we are continue our program in terms to educate people all across Indonesia in terms of the gender equality is also at 31% female employee. Our governance standard is also we are monitoring very closely, and we also adding any certification such as ISO 9001, ISO 45001, etc. The policy enhancement and anti-fraud and whistleblowing also has been in place and has been improved in this quarter. Next slide. In terms of the guidance, we are still consistent with our guidance. In terms of the revenue, we committed to deliver 11% revenue increase by end of this year. EBITDA percent also the same. Capex at 7 trillion rupiah as of 9 months. We are already used about 60% of the remaining of the capex. In terms of the organic, we are planning to deliver 4,000 new tenant. Okay, there's still in terms of the process, maybe there's a bit delay, as one of the MNO in Indonesia still consolidating due to the merger activity. Okay. And yet we are still discussing with them in terms of delivering the best potential collocation for them. For inorganic activity, we are targeting 1,500. As of now, we already delivered about 1,000. We believe that by the end of this year, we are able to deliver this number. And in terms of the fiber optic itself, we are actually already delivered 13,000 kilometers as of 9 months. And yet still we do we already have additional order that we are in the execution process at the current time. Okay, I think that's all my presentation for today. I will hand over to Andi.
Thank you, Pak Indra, for the presentation. Now we begin the Q&A session. For the first session, we will give the opportunities for 3 participants at once. Yeah. And please click raise hand button if you would like to ask. Pak Henry, please unmute yourself. Pak Henry from Mandiri.
Yeah, okay. Thank you,
Thank
Pandi. Hi, gentlemen. Thank you for taking my questions. 2 questions from me, please. So if we look at the info memo disclosure, it's mentioned that Mitratel built, 481 new towers in 9 months, and I believe Pak Hendra also has mentioned about the inorganic towers as well in the 9 months. Could we get more details on the split between the organic and inorganic for both the tower and tenants in 9 months 2023? And apart from the IOH tower purchase, who are the sellers and by how much? Perhaps I'll stop here first, sir.
Thank you, Pak Henry. And second question will be coming from Bu Marisa Putri from UBS. Please go ahead, Bu.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking my question. So just 2 questions from me. Firstly, I think if I look at your numbers, I kind of noticed that Telkomsel revenue is down Q on Q. Why is that the case? I think you mentioned something about Telkom Group have a slower non-tower business revenue. Is that the case here? And secondly, in terms of, I think you mentioned also in your last sentence, there is some delay in terms of organic ads because of the merger reconfiguration of network. What kind of timeline that you can kind of give us in terms of when is this going to be kind of like finalized, basically, in terms of your planning? That's it. Thank you.
Right. So I think We have two questions first in the first session. First question is from Pak Henry. I think Pak Henry is asking about the detail of organic and inorganic split, for tenancy addition. Yeah. And then Bu Marisa is asking about the Telkomsel revenue that is declined on Q&Q basis. And also number 2 is for the delay of inorganic ad due to M&A activities that impacting the industry. So when is the network integration is finalized?
Okay. I will answer the question. For the question from Pak Henry, in terms of the inorganic, we adding about 1,371 tenants. Organic, we are adding 2,408 tenants. Okay. So that's the split between organic and inorganic. Okay. And then continue with the Bu Marisa question. For the Telkomsel, it's actually contained with the delay in renewing contract. As I already mentioned, that we have about 4,000 contract that is still that is expired this year. Half of it is already renewed, and the remaining will be renewed in the fourth quarter. This is basically due to the administration process that we are expecting to finalize everything by this year. Okay. Sorry. Lastly, in terms of the FMC, I think that may be an impact. Okay, we do see there's a lower in terms of the rollout from Telkomsel. Okay, but in terms of the process itself, should not be a significant significant effect in terms of the rollout from Telkomsel. But we are hoping in terms of the number itself, it will not impacting in terms of the commitment to deliver the 11% of revenue by 2023. Okay.
Thank you, Pak Hendra. Hope that answer Pak Henry and Marisa's questions. The next question will be coming from Pak Nico from BRI Dana Reksa. Please unmute yourself and go ahead, Pak Nico.
Thank you, Pak Andi. Terima kasih the management for the opportunity and the good top line growth. My question is on the new tenancies that we are seeing in it. What is the geographic location? Is it more to ex-Java? If you can confirm this trend. That's number one. Number two question, can you give us again the outlook for the tenancy ratio for the medium term? Currently is standing at 1.5. I know that you have given guidance in the past. Chuan, I would like maybe if you can give us again the outlook for this. Yeah. And maybe number three, what is the outlook in terms of M&A from Mitratel? What processes does Mitratel is participating in? And yeah, if you can give us some insight of what it is. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Pak Nico. I think we can have the other participants to ask from Luis Hilado from Citi. Please go ahead, Luis. Unmute yourself.
Hi. Yes, thanks. Good afternoon. Thanks for hosting the call. I just had one question. We noticed that revenue per tenant and per tower this quarter is up after 2-3 quarters of decline. Is this a sign that it's going to continue to be up, or is there any exceptional reason for the rebound in revenue per tower and tenant?
Thank you, Luis. So we have two questions from Pak Nico and Luis. From Pak Nico. Number one is the geographic location, between Java and ex-Java. Is it more Java or ex-Java? Number two is the outlook for tenancy ratio in the medium term. And number three is the outlook or insight for M&A for Mitra Tel that is under process.
Okay, thank you, Andi. Thank you, Pak Nico. For the first one, majority of an order is actually come or will be deployed out ex-Java. So we are in our record, about 7,000 colocation is rolled out by this year. And Mitra Tel market share is around 39%. Okay? And in terms of the growth ex-Java, as I mentioned, is at 11.4. So yes, majority of the order is actually the colocation outside Java. And the next question for the acquisition, we do still have a plan for the consolidation within industry. As I mentioned, we are now already acquired about 1,000 tower. Hopefully by end of this year, we are actually meet or maybe above of our target of 1,500 tower in 2023. Okay. So we are still now on progress in discussing with the potential seller. Hopefully there's a couple more project is going to close in the fourth quarter. And next question from Luis.
I'm sorry. I think the other question from Pak Nico is the outlook for tenancy ratio in the medium term.
Okay. Thank you, Andy. Okay. For tenancy ratio at the current time is 1.5. With the additional co-location order that we actually receive a commitment from one of the client, if they are able to deliver everything by this year, then we are targeting our tenancy ratio at 1.54.
Yeah.
Okay, hope that answer the question.
Thank you, Pak Hendra. And maybe if I may add, Pak Nico, I think if we are looking at in the IPO book, I think by 2025, we are targeting to have a tenancy ratio of around 1.7 to 1.8, Pak Nico. Yeah. Next question is from Luis. It's about the average revenue per tenant that is increasing in this quarter. Will this trend continue going forward?
Okay. Yes, I think as I mentioned before in the previous quarter, that now we are starting to bundle our product. So in every colocation or build to suit, it's not actually only to lease the tower space, but also include the connection and also include power as a service. So that's actually impact in terms of increasing in terms of the RPT in the third quarter. And is this trend we believe going to continue in the future.
Thank you, Pak Indra. Hope that answer your questions, Pak Nico and Luis.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I squeeze one more question, Pak Andy?
Please, Pak Nico.
On the COGS, there was I think there's a jump, on permits, constructions. This is it is very volatile. It's per project basis, and how much percent to revenues we should expect going forward this category? Thank you.
Yeah. So the proportion of tower related business to total revenue, Pak Nico, Okay.
Yeah, the proportion of COGS other than DNA in terms of revenue going forward, how much should be on average.
Oh, COGS, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I think in the meantime, we can take one question from Pius from ISPC. Please go ahead, Pius. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, Pak Andy. Thank you for the opportunity. Few questions. Firstly, can management talk about the outlook for the EBITDA margin? It has been falling for the last 3 quarters. Secondly, in your info memo, you have mentioned that general and admin expense have rose driven by consultant fees. What does this fees pertain to? Can you elaborate? And thirdly, do we expect this 2000 Telkomsel contract renewal to conclude in 4th quarter? And can you clarify how many months of revenue booking will happen, together in 4th quarter once this contract renewal is concluded with Telkomsel? Thanks.
Great. So we have a question from Pak Nico, the COGS proportion to total revenue. And 3 questions from Pius is first on the EBITDA margin outlook. And then G&A costs that grew due to consultant fee. What are these consultancies? And then also the contracts from Telkomsel. How many months it will be finalized?
Okay, I answered the first question. In terms of the COGS, I think it's dominating from tower-related business. In the tower business, our CapEx is still consistent. But for the non-tower related business, as of now, we do have a project that is ongoing. The project itself, we are expecting to contribute around additional 150 billion rupiah. That's in terms of the cost, since the project is already ongoing, so we already booked the cost. But then in terms of the revenue, we haven't acknowledged yet until the project itself is done. Okay. And in terms of the margin, as I mentioned, for the tower-related business, about 19 to 20%. Okay, and maybe I continue to the next question from Pius. Okay, in terms of for the EBITDA margin, I think the we believe that the EBITDA margin for the tower business remain constant. Okay. The only one that is actually moving is actually the tower-related business. In the Q&Q, the tower-related business in the first Q is actually still very small, and then it's continued to increase. But then the margin itself is actually different between the tower and the tower-related business. That's the one that actually impacting in terms of the consolidated EBITDA margin. For the EBITDA margin for the tower business is actually still consistent at 85-86%. And your next question is about the
G&A cost.
G&A
cost, yes.
Is the consultant fee. Okay, maybe as you're aware that we are ongoing process, either is organic or inorganic. So mainly this is the advisor, the lawyer, in terms of when we do inorganic process. So we need to have a proper advisor in every acquisition, can consist from the banker, lawyer for the due diligence process, technical advisor, and also appraisal. So that actually the minimum requirement or advisor that is required in every acquisition. And then when we are closing the transaction, we also need to prepare our own report to make sure that all the documentation is actually correct. And most of the case, we also assist by the independent lawyer to make sure that the proper is documented properly. And I think the last question, renewal on Telkomsel.
Yes.
We are expecting, as I mentioned, in terms of the additional revenue for the renewal, the remaining renewal is about 70 to 100 billion rupiah. This has been a consistent cyclical by Telkomsel, and we are actually look forward for the contract to be signed in this quarter or in the fourth quarter.
So just to clarify, you are saying there will be a lumpy 70 to 100 billion of revenue which will be booked from Telkomsel in this quarter if the contract is renewed. This is over and above whatever is coming on a regular basis.
Yes, and you can also see this from our last year compared third quarter 2022 and fourth quarter 2022. That cyclical is also happened where you see in the last quarter the revenue significant jump is basically for the renewal process.
Okay. And if I may ask one more thing, this cost related to permit construction and project management has increased. Were you highlighting that you have booked the cost, but again the revenue for the same has not been booked?
Okay, this one for the organic. For the organic, I think there's no a significant increase in terms of the land acquisition. The one that mainly in terms of the cost that I mentioned is for the inorganic, and in terms of the amortization is actually also from the inorganic. That's actually the one that increased quite significant, but not for the inorganic. Sorry, not for the organic.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pius. We also have we have another questions from Pak Raymond Kosasi. Please go ahead, Pak Raymond from Verdana.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, management from Mitra Tel. I have a couple of questions. First one, I missed the earlier answer. Can you repeat once you signed the renewal with Telkomsel, how much revenue to be additional revenue to be booked in the fourth quarter? That's point number one. Second question, I suppose this is not a question, it's more about I want to hear your opinion. If I take a quick glance on your tenants, towers, it is safe to assume that a large chunk of the growth is actually outside of Java. Yeah. Particularly on the tenant side. And presumably a lot of this actually is colo. Yeah, if I do again a quick analysis, it's a colo growth. Yeah. But on the other hand, if we were to look at Telkomsel results, yeah, I know the third quarter will be out soon. In the last 18 months, their revenue shares have declined, give or take, from 51 to 49, 48 and a half. It is safe to assume the decline is actually outside of Java. Yeah. So my question is, how does Telkom Group see this? On one hand, you guys benefit from the outside Java growth. On the other hand, another sister company of Mitra Tel actually seeing revenue decline outside of Java. How do you guys balancing all this? Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Raymond. So we have two questions from Pak Raymond. One is on the renewal contract with Telkomsel, how much revenue will be booked in the fourth quarter. And then second is how is Telkom view in the situation whereby Mitra Tel growth is supported by co-location growth outside Java, while at the same time, Pak Raymond is seeing the decline of Telkomsel market share outside Java from around 51% to 49%. How we see this situation?
Okay, I will answer the question. Okay, in terms of the revenue, we are expecting around 70 to 100 billion rupiah. This is for the remaining contract, renewal contract that is now still pending in Telkomsel. Okay, then to answer your next question, so what we are seeing now is the other MNO try to close the gap between them and Telkomsel. So they have been improving in terms of the coverage, especially outside Java. In Java, in most of area, they actually already quite close. And that's, I guess, the main reason why they massively aggressive to expand outside Java. Okay? And how you see within the telecom group is actually see this condition, as you mentioned, while we are actually gaining the opportunity, while the other company or the other sister company is actually being pressed. What we believe that the MNO is actually focused on the main business, which is the quality, service, content, etc. So they actually try to be lenient, lean in terms of the asset. So that's why we are seeing that they are divest many of their assets start from the tower, and probably there's going to be a power as a service going to be divest, and maybe the next thing will be the either data center or maybe a fiber optic. Okay, so with that condition, all of the MNO is actually focused on the main subject, and that's what we believe that the Telkomsel is actually is doing or they are planning to do. So not actually to protect by geographic location, because it's now the tower is actually already most of the tower is being acquired by us. So that's why they are actually the strategy is actually to improve on that coverage. Actually, this from us.
So, Pak, thank you, Pak Indra. So if I can draw a conclusion from what you're saying is that Mitra Tels have a different KPI, Telkomsel have a different KPI. You're just going to continue to open up your colo, yeah? That's fair to say, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But from the pricings, is going to be the same or how does it work? Because I understand that the colo that you offer quite competitive, I must say, probably compared to the first generation contract that Telkomsel has. You reckon that as and when Telkomsel contracts are renewed, at the most Telkomsel will pay same price as the third-party tenants. Is that fair to say?
Yes, Pak Raymond, we don't give a discount for the co-location.
Okay. But what I'm saying is the first generation contract that Telkomsel has with you, and when it comes for renewal, presumably that's the higher rates than the colo rates that you're offering.
For the contract, it's actually depend on the condition. Yeah. So let's say the contract expired in 2023, then we're going to follow the market in 2023. When the contract is actually expired in 2024, then we're going to follow the rate in 2024. So it's actually depend on when is the contract is expired.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Raymond. We have two questions in the chat box. Yeah. First is from Aishwarya from JP Morgan. Yeah. The third quarter net income seems to have reduced on Q-on-Q basis, although the operating income has grown. What are affecting this net income trend? And then secondly, we have question from Ibu Selvi from Aldi Racita. Could you please give some view about news that Mitratel is ready to acquire another 3,000 tower from Telkomsel?
Okay. Okay, I will answer the first question. I think the first question is, sorry, can you repeat the first question?
Yeah, the third quarter net income seems to have declined Q&Q basis. Yes.
Okay. For the, as we explained before, I think for the third quarter, it's more like a cyclical. So if you see third quarter last year, also in terms of the net income is actually lower. And then it's actually going to improve quite significant in the fourth quarter. As I mentioned, this is due to the renewal process, where in terms of the Telkomsel, usually the renewal process will be signed everything at the last quarter. So we are expecting on the fourth quarter, it's going to be an additional 70 to 100 billion rupiah as a result of this renewal process. Then the question from
Ibu Selvi, yes. News about Mitratel is ready to acquire another 3,000 towers from Telkomsel.
Correct. So for us, we are still active in doing the inorganic. So either it's a Telkomsel or another tower operator that is planning to divest the asset, then we basically would like to take a look. We would like to do a due diligence. And since we have a room, either from the IPO money or from the leverage that's currently still low, then we still have fun to actually use it to do the inorganic.
Thank you, Pak Indra. I hope that answers your question, Aiswara and Bu Selvi. So we have another question from Pak Henry again. Please, Pak Henry, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, Pak Andi. So perhaps two questions from me again, Pak. Sorry if I missed this, but could you provide more color on the progress of the IOH orders commitment as of 9 months 2023? And then my second question is about the interest expense. If we look at on the interest expense run rate, it has increased to 300 billion rupiah per quarter now. So what will be the company strategy to lower the interest expense going forward, considering that MTEL assumes lots of variable rate loans? Thank you, Pak.
Thank you, Pak Henry. Two questions from Pak Henry. First is on the more color on orders from Indosat or IOH. Number two is on the interest expense run rate that seems increasing. So how Mitratel strategy in addressing this, because Mitratel has various floating loan.
Okay, maybe I can answer the question. So in terms of the commitment from IO, this is what I mentioned, we are still in discussion. So mainly due to the consolidation process within IO itself. Okay, from us, the commitment of 1,500 is actually due at the end of the first quarter next year. So there's actually still a time for them to deliver the commitment. Of course, we are hoping that they can finalize the internal process and then they can starting delivering the order to us. Okay. In terms of for the interest expense, yes, this is due to the increase of JIBOR itself. Compared to last year, where our average cost of fund is actually about JIBOR plus 0.98 or JIBOR plus 98 basis points. And in this quarter, our cost of fund is actually JIBOR plus 0.64%, or JIBOR plus 64 basis point. So we actually, what we did, we renegotiate with the bank. We also issue MTN this year, and we also do refinancing for any high interest or high cost leverage.
Thank you, Pak Indra. Hope that answer your questions, Pak Henry. Okay. I think one more questions coming from Pak Jundianto from Schroders in the chat box. So how is the trend in lease rate recently? And then number two, how big is revenue contribution from Smartfren? And then number three, regarding with the debt, do you plan to keep 42% of debt fixed?
Okay, maybe I will answer the question. In terms of the lease rate, we are, as we mentioned before, we are quite confident that in terms of the lease rate will be around this area, around 12 million rupiah per month. That's going to be stable for the next couple of years. Okay. And then for the second question on the Smartfren, so our exposure for the others is around 5%. Smartfren itself is actually inside those 5%. So probably maybe around 3 to 4% is come from Smartfren. So a very minimum small number, the contribution from the Smartfren. And I think the last question
is on the debt profile. Do we keep 42% debt fixed?
Okay, so this one we are actually agile enough to see what is the market condition. So when we see the opportunity that that the interest rate is actually going to be increased within this year or maybe early next year, then we actually trying to improve our fixed rate. But then when we see that actually the interest rate is starting to go down, then probably we are going to shift or convert some of the fixed or maybe to increase our floating portion until that we are seeing the bottom of the interest rate where we're going to lock more on the fixed rate for the loan itself. So there's no certain guidance that we have to commit it at 42 or certain percentage, but this is something that agile we are actually monitoring and following what is the market condition and get the most of it. Okay.
Thank you, Pak Indra. I think in the interest of time, we can take one last question from the floor. If there is no more question, I think we can conclude the discussion today.
Ada dari.
We have Pak Nico from we have Pak Nico again in the chat box. I think this is the last question from Pak Nico. One, could you remind us what is booked under financial lease? And number two, following the question on Telkomsel divesting more towers, is it only for towers or could be also for fiber? You have time frame for this?
Okay, Andy, I will try to answer the question. In terms of the financial list, I believe this is more on the reseller, and the based on the IFRS standard around 200. Sorry, I think 107 around 170 billion for 2023. And then in terms on your next question on the fiber, what we understand that the fiber is actually belong to Telkom, not Telkomsel. And in terms of if the Telkom would like to divest, then I think that's subject to Telkom initiative. Our understanding that they're going to have a infraco. So let's see if Mitratel can be part of the company that will able to acquire the fiber to the tower. Okay. I think that's my answer.
Yeah. Thank you, Pak Indra. And I think that concludes our discussion today. And thank you, everyone, for participating in today's call. We apologize to those whose question could not be addressed yet. Should you have any further questions, please contact us directly. Yeah. For your information, the recording of today's call will be available for the next 7 days, and we will send the link to your email. This concludes our call for today. Thank you, everyone, and see you in the next quarter. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.